morning, everyone. Welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. We're on the road today, heading about an hour west of State College. Got a call for a 2012 Ford Fusion. First the customer contacted me, and then the shop owner. So the customer drove the car to the shop. He said his instrument cluster was a Christmas tree, it was flashing or something. Pulled him to the garage, and then the shop owner, they scanned it for codes, and apparently it never started after that. It's been there for a couple of weeks. They said they want it back on the road. Apparently it's setting some immobilizer codes. I don't know, maybe a cluster problem. We'll get there soon. Diagnose this thing. Alright, so we're inside the Ford Fusion. Here's the cluster. We have two keys, which is good. The buttons for the locks do work. So if I turn key on, key off, or key on, there, the car is not going to start. No crank. Full code scan, and I see a lot of gray modules. So medium speed and medium speed 2, nothing's online. High speed can, yes, where we have codes. So take a picture with your phone of this map. It's very helpful once we go and look up some wiring diagrams for this mobilizer system and the information bus. So in the health report, let's just see what codes are set in the modules that are online. So we can't talk to airbags. Instrument cluster says missing communication with airbags, park assist module, ignition switch, interesting. Theft detected, vehicle immobilized, and invalid data received from ABS module. Alright. So, let's pull up a diagram of the information bus, see what the gateway is. I think on these it might be the instrument cluster, but I'm not sure. Let's do a little research. Alright, I got the OE information bus diagrams pulled up. And here we have the medium speed network. So smart junction box, let's see, APIM, driver's seat. There's the DLC, so it's nice we can scope the network on pins 3 and 11 at the data link connector. And then next page is parking aid module. I don't know if this has whatever radio, but side obstacle detection if equipped, and front display interface module, front control interface module, all this HVAC stuff. There's the instrument panel cluster, okay. Audio control module, HVAC control module, and then here's the high speed. And on the high speed, we have ABS, power steering control module. This is a front wheel drive. There's the PCM and instrument panel cluster. So indeed, the instrument panel cluster is the one that has both networks on, on that module, and that is the gateway between the high speed and the medium speed. So let's get a scope, see what's going on with both these networks, and then if the medium speed is down, we'll see what it's doing. Is it shorted to power, shorted to ground? Is the signal just messed up? We'll see, and then we can do some experiments once we have the scope hooked up. Alrighty, we've got Mr. Bob hooked up. We've got 3 channels. So channel 1 is on pin 3, channel 2 is on pin 11. That's the medium speed, high and low. And then channel 3 I have on the high speed network, pin 6. So here we go. Let's turn the key on, see what happens on the networks. We got some activity. Okay. We can bump up the What's going on with our high speed? Okay. So we're 2.5. I don't see that much activity on the medium speed. Just have like really short bursts once in a while. And what is wrong with the signal here? So 2.5 to 3.5. That seems fine, but the red is only 2.5 to 2. And then sometimes down to 1. Let's zoom in on this. Okay, and then the green, our high-speed can is 2.5 to 3.5, so that's normal. There's definitely something wrong with the medium-speed can, but it's not shorted to positive or shorted to ground. Let's see, is each one of these, yeah, there's something going on here. So this red should be going from 2.5 down to 1.5 right there. So that's the problem. Let's save that capture and then figure out what we want to do. So on another screen I found an interesting capture here. This looks decent, and then this is the one with the short, with the low side that doesn't drop down enough. So is some module talking and another module not talking, or have a bad CAN transceiver or something? There are a lot of modules on the medium speed, so we're gonna have to, I don't know, we can measure the resistance on the network. It's worth a try. See if it's open circuit, or just start pulling power to the different modules. Okay, so I want to keep watching the scope while seeing if, on the scanner, which modules are on or offline. So through this bob, I'm having a hard time even identifying the vehicle. And I noticed that the connection at the DLC is not great. But when I tapped on the instrument cluster, I'm noticing that now the medium speed can looks pretty good. If you remember, on a Ford Escape, I think also 2012, it had a problem with the connector on the cluster for the medium speed can, and it was bringing down the entire network. Let me just get the scanner back online without the bob and see if any of the medium speed modules came back online, because the waveform definitely looks better after I tap the dash. Just to rule that out, we could be dealing with a bad solder joint or something on the instrument cluster. Let's see if we can auto ID. It goes through instantly. So with the bob, it didn't want to do that. Okay, let's just restart that. Key off, yes. Key on. Okay. Yep, security light's blinking. Okay, yeah, now it works. No navigation. Just want to do another smart scan. See what comes up. Wait a minute, something came up on the medium speed can. Look at that. It's all back online. What? So the scope wasn't lying. The only thing I did, I swear, I just tapped on the instrument cluster. Now the security light's still blinking. Okay. Let me save this health report. See if there's a problem with the immobilizer. See if we can get the car started. This is promising. Okay, missing communication with IPC, transponder, valid data received from ABS, theft detected. Alright, so what if we clear all these out now? There's still quite a few codes left. What happened to the restraint control module? Did they mess with it? Is it somewhere here? I don't know. But it should not have anything to do with our immobilizer. Okay, so there's still definitely something wrong with the immobilizer. But now that the medium speed is restored, we could go into security, PATS anti-theft, requires parameter reset, okay, yes. So you have to wait 10 minutes to get in. I think we're going to have a problem with the instrument cluster, but while this is timing, let's do some research on where the immobilizer lives on this thing. But tapping on the dash restored the medium speed can, which, pretty nuts. Yep, sure enough, the PATS anti-theft transceiver talks to the instrument panel cluster, which is on the medium speed and the high speed CAN network. So that is exactly what we're going after. All signs are pointing to the instrument cluster. Let's read the description and operation of the anti-theft system. The smart junction box is also known as the General Electric module. PATS consists of the following components: anti-theft indicator located in the instrument panel cluster, encoded ignition transmitter in the key, transceiver located around the ignition lock cylinder, yes, IPC instrument panel cluster. PCM is located under the battery tray in the engine compartment. Controlled by the instrument panel cluster, yes. So that is key. So I have a feeling we're going to have to tear this cluster out and look for bad solder joints, because A, it was affecting the medium speed network, B, now the vehicle doesn't start because it's immobilized. But we'll see if we can talk to it here, reprogram it, see if we can get the car started. And if this is an intermittent problem, I mean, I don't know if a component is going bad inside the cluster or if it's just a bad contact, but we're on the right track. Alright, we got a battery maintainer on the Ford, and security access is granted, that's good. let's do ignition key programming. Okay. Fault detected. Fault detected. What's the fault? Yep, so medium speed is still online. That's good. So instrument panel cluster is definitely not happy. It has 5 faults. And our airbags are still offline. That might be a separate issue. We probably don't have side object detection. Instrument cluster. PATS anti-theft system transponder. Let's look up that and ignition switch. Let's record these codes and do a little more research. Alright, so first let's focus on this B10D987 code, PATS anti-theft system transponder. It doesn't mean that the key is bad. Let's read. Transceiver receives voltage from the smart junction box, fuse 36, is grounded on circuit, ground circuit. Anti-theft transceiver and instrument cluster communicate on circuits VRT24. So this is what we looked up on the wiring diagram just a second ago. But this code sets when the PATS transceiver signal is not received by the instrument panel cluster. DTC can be caused by circuits between the PATS. Also be caused by incorrect PATS transceiver part number. Okay. So basically, let's look up that wiring diagram. And then, what's up with this U300A ignition switch signal comparison error? Let's look up the U code. U300A. There it is. And it's 62. When ignition switch in runner start position, IPC receives run start voltage from the smart junction box. IPC also receives network ignition status from the smart junction box over the MS CAN communication bus. So this sets, when compares the hard network input with the hardwired input, and sets contains memory and demand if a discrepancy is detected. So smart junction box on the MS CAN. Okay. IPC voltage supply. Interesting. Okay, so we got some checks to do here. Alright, so hot and start and run, smart junction box. Fuse 29 5 amp feeds the instrument panel cluster and runner start, and fuse 36 5 amp feeds the passive anti-theft transceiver. Okay, so let's check fuse 29 and fuse 36 for power. Alright, so the smart junction box, typical Ford style, is a little packed in there, but fuse 36 is right here. Fuse 29 is all the way up here. So let's make sure the test light works. I'm going to check one of these lower fuses. Okay, yes, so my test light has a good ground. So that 5 amp, you guys are not going to be able to see this. Wait, what? There's no power on that circuit. That's the thing that feeds the transceiver. No wonder we're setting that code. Now, there's an easier way to get to that fuse. I need to check the topmost fuse there, 29 for power. See if we're missing that. Because that... That'd be pretty nuts. Guys, we don't have power on fuse 29 either. Again, not easy to see here. Dead. Dead. Is that whole row disabled? I know my test light works. Hot and runner start is all disabled. Let's look at power distribution diagram, see where all those fuses, why they don't have power. Alright, so I'm going to figure out why we're missing power on fuse 29 and 36 in hot and start or run. So we have to go to power distribution diagrams and find these fuses. So there's 29, 36. And where do they get their feed from? So they come from R. You see this tree is all dead. 29, 32, 36. There's the transceiver, there's the instrument cluster, and it keeps going. Oh look, parking aid module, we couldn't talk to that. Airbags we couldn't talk to, so they're all fed off the same tree. This is starting to make a lot more sense. It also looks like this wire connects to this tree, and I checked fuse F42 10 amp, and that one is hot. So how can these be dead and this be alive? Well, the only connector in between is C214-2. Okay, so let's look up where that lives. C214 looks like, so this is the dash instrument cluster. You're looking at it, you know, front of vehicle is this way. This is driver's side then. By this lower kick panel. Let's see where it, what the heck? I'm gonna have to ask the shop owner what happened here. It's completely unplugged. Alrighty, well, let's see what happens. Plug this sucker in. Key on. It's gonna start right up. It's unbelievable. Why was that connector unplugged? I don't know. We'll clear all the codes out and see if the cluster still has any issues. I suspect there's some cracked solder joints on there, so I do want to rip the cluster out and resolder those, but unbelievable. Well, it's magic. Parking aid's back online. Airbags are back online. Let's do a report and then clear everything out. Post repair. That was crazy. Communication codes, communication codes. Let's see, instrument cluster says. Let's see, if we clear all these out, what will come back? Thing of beauty. Now, the medium speed can, is that still a problem? Maybe it's very intermittent. Was that connector backing out on its own? I've never, well, I guess maybe a couple times I've seen where a connector is unclipped and starting to back out. Remember that Subaru that was super intermittent with the throttle body problems years ago? But this is, you don't see this every day. And the shop said, like, we never removed the kick panel, we never touched any of those connectors. That thing was just unplugged completely. So how do you explain that? So I don't know. I guess we'll wrap it up here. If they want me to take the cluster out, we can do that, or just let the customer drive it. If there are any more issues, you know, we could follow up then, because this is definitely a problem. And now if all the problems are resolved, that's it. That's a win. This is the end of the diagnosis and repair. If, you know, because the customer said for a couple of weeks the cluster had weird issues, some warning lights, but the car kept driving, it always started. So could that connector be partially backing out? I mean, it has like 5 wires on it. Or does the cluster still have an issue? What would you do if this was your shop? Alright, a little bonus footage on the instrument cluster. As you got it pulled out and circuit board is exposed. So the bulk connector, see right there, I'm just doing a wiggle check, trying to see if we can get any of the warnings to set, the cluster to go nuts, and everything seems to be happy, stable, no problems at all. So the actual design of the connector here, as you can see, plugs straight into the back of the cluster, and the body of the connector is well secured. It's not a poor design like on the Ford Escape where it plugs in from the top and the pins are like bent and it was all just mechanically not supported very well. Oh, there goes my laptop. But there's no issues here, so we don't need to reflow any solder joints because that would involve taking the needles off, this and that. This car's happy. If it acts up again, I'm sure I'll see it again, but thanks all for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.